wanted to say thank you so much for everybody tuning in with us tonight. We have Satellite Doge-1, really cool narrative-based project here that I've been following, like I said, since late October, but their launch goes all the way back to earlier 2023, when this initially was launched. And unfortunately, the dev at the time, abandoned the project. We have a couple awesome individuals who have joined us on stage that were able to take it over in the community fashion. And once some of these announcements started to spark up come the fall, that's when they decided to relaunch. They went live again on October the 1st. And if you go back and look at their chart, it kind of did sit dormant for a while. So lots of opportunity to go into the community and check out, learn more about what they were building. But I want to say late October, early November, you guys really started to fly. And, as I mentioned when we were just hanging out prior to, these guys have hit an all-time high so far of around 16 million. And the thing that I've been most impressed about with kind of their growth is not the chart, because you guys know charts are not my forte, not the thing I kind of focus on the most. It's more so the community. So, as I mentioned, Elon's going to be driving a lot of hype with this as he kind of pushes towards the Dogecoin funded, rocket launch in February of 2024. So the community has been really growing. They got about almost 5K holders now. And the amount of publicity that this is likely to kind of gather around the time of the rocket launch and leading up to it is pretty awesome. So you guys have kind of set yourself out as the front runner right now within the narrative. And, we're sure to see some communities pop up here and there as they often do. But like I said, you guys are really strong on the community side, some great content that your communities put out. You guys can check out. I'll drop the link to your kind of content book that you guys have. And yeah, again, for me, it's all about the narrative. There's some utilities coming, but the community has been very, very impressive here. And as we see, there's times where, maybe the marketing isn't really super high because they're not talking about the launch right now in terms of Elon's focus on a few other things, but you're maybe due to a little bit of volatility, but the community is still super active if you check out their socials, if you go into their Telegram. So yeah, I know everybody here on stage isn't really worried. I'm not worried. I know Buck has been in this one for a long time, is excited for the future. And yeah, let's kind of blast off for the AMA boys.
Thank you, Maurice, very much for the introduction. And yeah, just before we get started, I just wanted to thank you for having us on here. I wanted to thank Buck for inviting us on and getting us involved, and especially all your community for taking the time to tune in and listen as well. And hopefully everyone can learn something interesting about our project today. So a little bit about myself. I'm Fractal. I've been involved in the project since the relaunch. As you said, it's a community takeover, so really everyone on our team has come from the community, initially being investors. Myself, I'm an investor in the microcap space. This is what I do. I look for these projects with insanely high potential, with an honest team and safe contract and good community. And that's what I found with Doge-1. What I believe to be the biggest narrative in crypto history, Elon sending Dogecoin to the moon, essentially. So yeah, I saw this narrative, super excited, and I thought, yeah, I just want to get more involved and give everything I can to help it reach its potential. So that's how I got here. I don't know if the rest of the team, Justin, Hero, and Southern, would like to introduce themselves also.
Yeah, sure. I'm Crypto Hero. I've been part of the community now for a few months. I was brought in by the dev. Uh, we brought him in on a different community project, and he's just been quite amazing with his community aspect of how he runs things and kind of joining multiple communities together. Uh, and so, yeah, I've been helping with marketing and AMAs and running VCs and so forth with the rest of the team here for a little while now, and couldn't be more bullish on any project that I'm in right now. This one is quite literally the biggest narrative in all of crypto history, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But thanks for having us.
Howdy, folks. My name's Southern, or you can call me Chris. I'm basically the guy who hosts the Southern Power Hour over on the Doge-1 TG. My main day-to-day operations is helping with the Twitter raids, and I am a I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Relations helper with between Catboy and Doge-1. So I'm kind of like the in between, like, because Doge-1 has a umbrella of partnerships, and that's basically what I do there. I just kind of go over and help out and give advice, make sure we have a good partnership relation, and let's get her done, folks.
Hello, I'm Justin. I came in the project since the relaunch, as Winslow asked me if I can help with utilities and so on. So I'm basically the backend of the project, developing the utilities, managing the Telegram groups, the Telegram bots, and so on. And I'm in this management and TG management world since now around 3 years. Started the work over the Momokas ecosystem.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
And probably fair to, I'll give a quick introduction just for Winslow as well. He's the
Yeah,
community
he's
leader of our
definitely
project.
important within this one as well.
Yeah, so he's our community leader. He's the guy that basically took this over from the previous contract that the old developer rug pulled. And yeah, he got the community together. He put it to a vote for them to relaunch, let them choose the taxes and everything. And yeah, since the relaunch, he's really been the driving force and our leader behind the project. He's got a background in marketing. He's done marketing for projects like Meta Pets that hit 100 million. He is a rapper from Houston. So he's got a lot of celebrity contacts, a lot of real world marketing as well, that we can get into later on in the AMA. And yeah, he's just super passionate about the narrative, the project, and he wants to see this become a top 5 meme coin to kickstart this new bull run. So yeah, he's it's his passion and his commitment that is kind of spread. It's contagious. It's spread through the rest of the team, and we're all on the same page trying to implement his vision and make it something really great.
And I appreciate that. Again, I know I've kind of chatted informally, been on different spaces with you. I know I tuned into the AMA that you did with Buck as well for a little bit. And yeah, it's great to meet you in Southern. Love the accent, you had to drop the get her done for me and make me laugh, right? So no, really excited to host you guys. And looking at some of your activity, I'll jump right into the narrative, right? You guys have almost 400 posts on your X feed on Twitter, and I mean countless replies. You guys are super active. Your community is always out there rating, and I know, as Southern mentioned, he kind of helps behind the scenes with some of that and some of the affiliation work with different projects that you guys kind of have connected with over time. So, excited to learn a little bit more about how you've grown the community, because that's the most important thing here. It's one thing to just kind of go out there and spam and raid, but you guys have done it in a way that it connects really well with people who see this narrative, and that's why your holder count has almost surpassed 5K now, which when I first came across you guys, it was quite low. I think sub 1K. So yeah, really good work.
Yeah, so in terms of how we've grown our community, we're really trying to hit every single medium really hard in terms of marketing. So initially when we were probably when you first found us and we were sub 1,000 holders, we were trying to do it a bit different. Well, we're trying to do it the normal ways, just from hard work and not giving up until something comes off. So that was hitting the tweets, hitting the Telegram raids, trying to get as much volume going through those as possible. Every single Elon Musk tweet, we'd be hitting it with a reply, trying to make bespoke, funny replies. And every big Dogecoin influencers, we've been attacking their tweets from day one, really. And the same goes for Telegram, trying to get everywhere on Telegram, doing AMAs every single day. And those AMAs have been getting bigger and bigger since we've sort of started, and now we've got some really massive support. We just got off a Twitter space with Crypto Messiah. We've got people like B Roots, who's rode thousands of X's with Shiba Inu. And one of the key things that I think has really helped our community grow is our sort of outlook on how we interact with other communities, because we recognize that this space in the last couple of years has been quite toxic, with lots of projects following narratives and trying to say, oh, our narrative's bigger than yours, we're gonna flip you guys or whatever. We've kind of just took a step back from that, and we're trying to sort of say that we're going into this bull run, and the meme coin market in general is going to be massive. And in the bear market, there wasn't much liquidity to go around, so everyone's kind of scrapping over it. But we're trying to recognize that, hold on, those things, first of all, it's not nice, it's not a good vibe to be a toxic community, and we want it to be a good vibe in our community. Secondly, we're entering a bull market now, so we can afford to collaborate with other projects, share ideas with them, and share community and personnel, and it can actually benefit everyone, and that's what we've been doing. So just last night we had grab the mic in our it was actually a Twitter space, but what we've got is, I think Southern mentioned it, we've got an umbrella of communities that are working with us. It's all sort of projects that we see big potential in the upcoming bull run, and from these communities they've helped us as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a big reason why our hold account has grown so significantly, because these communities, we're giving to them and they're giving back, and we're seeing a lots of new people with different coins tags in their name come in our Telegram and become part of our community as well. So yeah, in terms of marketing, we're trying it on all platforms now. So we got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all up and running, to add on to those other ones. But initially we started off basically, and we're just trying to scale that with a positive outlook, and like people say, energy is everything, and we're trying to bring the positive energy because we think it's going to work in this upcoming bull run and come back and benefit us.
Awesome. And I know typically maybe during these AMAs, you guys kind of have started with the origin or the narrative, right? But as I'd mentioned, this narrative is something that's not likely to go away, and we may see other projects pop up and try and replicate what you've done. But I wanted to go community first, because that's where I think as that happens, you guys can still draw on the strength of your community and what you've already done. And that will kind of be one of your just automatic differentiators with these other kind of narratives or copycat based plays that pop up, in February, right? For example, closer to launch. So great job by you guys just touching those multiple streams, like you mentioned, and growing the community in the way that you have. I know a lot of people, although, even if they jumped in early and, maybe they're taking profits along the way, this is one of those projects that kind of like that Shiba Inu, you're going to see a lot of those people kind of leave their moon bags, not fully exit, and stay active in the community and, watch the news, right? So it is one of those exciting narratives, I think, from a community perspective. So great job so far there. But I do want to go into the narrative now, right? Kind of the team is not only somebody who, is kind of loves the crypto side and loves the blockchain side, but I know you guys have been following, some of the members in the community and the team have been following this Elon, crypto funded launch for a while through SpaceX. So I did want to throw it to you and have you guys introduce us really to the vision here behind the launch, and then how you guys kind of, pushed that to crypto and have been able to build up, your presence here within the Doge-1 narrative.
Of course. So a little about the narrative first and foremost. I mean, I believe this narrative is one of, if not the biggest narratives in crypto history, right? So it was announced in 2021 that a company was partnering with SpaceX, and they're spending Dogecoin on a rocket launch to put a satellite orbiting the moon, and that's going to be called the Doge-1 satellite, right? The Doge-1 mission. And as soon as that was announced in 21, Elon Musk tweeted about it. He shared it on his Twitter. He said, it's going to be the first crypto in space. It's going to be the first meme in space. Satellite Doge-1 to the moon. That's what he said, basically. So that's the initial narrative there that we all know is happening soon. This rocket launch, it's mid-February it's going to be. So we're in the perfect kind of time frame. It's like 5 or 6 weeks away that we can build up to it now. We know how big Elon is. We know how much he loves Dogecoin. That's his favorite cryptocurrency. And we also know how much he loves rockets and he loves space. So really believe that this here is bringing together all of his favorite things, and you're giving him a scenario where it's almost he's already tweeted about it in the past, but it's almost guaranteed that he's gonna tweet it about it again. And when he does, I think that's one huge catalyst that a lot of our community is looking forward to. But I should probably stress it's not just the Elon factor itself. That's just an added bonus of the equation, really. What we've got here is something that's never been done before. We don't need Elon for it whatsoever. What we've got is Dogecoin, a cryptocurrency being spent on space travel, and that is something that really excites me because it's a brand new use case for the whole of cryptocurrency in general. So it's not just a catalyst for Dogecoin, but the whole of crypto. It's a use case that is not just you know, a use case that could bring in billions and billions of dollars for the crypto industry. It's also a use case in an industry that is very infantile and can only grow as the years go on. So I'm sure we'll be seeing in the future. We know what Elon's plans are with space, and he wants to put people on Mars in the next few years. And this is the first project which is actually funding these kind of missions with Dogecoin. So if this is a success, people could be looking back in 10 years' time, and they could literally be looking back at Doge-1 as the first ever crypto that made all this space exploration. It funded it all. And who knows, maybe in 10 years' time, you could literally buy a holiday to the moon with some Dogecoin, or even some Doge-1, if we're able to develop utilities that do that by then. And that's what I would kind of say to people that ask, oh, is this meme coin going to be around into the cycle? I would say, look how young the crypto industry is, look how young the space industry is, and just think of the opportunity that we've got if Doge-1's going to be the first ever cryptocurrency that's funded these kind of these missions. I think the sky's the limit for this narrative, and it would appear that I'm not the only one that shares that view. So yeah, that's basically the narrative in general. There's a lot going on, not just Elon, but from the wider Dogecoin community and crypto Twitter. Yeah, everyone's kind of in agreement that this is going to be a massive catalyst for crypto, and we're just here trying to facilitate that, and trying to give people a safe option where they can have fun and enjoy the narrative, but also get some exposure to the incoming hype that we think is inevitable to build up in the next few weeks as we approach that launch date.
Again, from my end, it is a narrative that does make a lot of sense. You see some of these mini metas that pop up around the space, and they're based on something that is very, it just doesn't have a lot of depth to it, right? It's just very fragile, and one wrong move from maybe the leading narrative on that, or leading meta project that is pushing, can kind of derail the whole train. But when you're kind of following something that's outside of the the DeFi space and then trying to link it back in, that's what I think connects to a lot of people. You think SafeMoon, Shiba, Doge in general, right? So great work on that side. Now, within the Dogecoin funded launch, I don't know maybe the specifics or technicalities like some of you guys might on how that's going to work, but are they accepting donations? Is it something that's being 100% funded by Elon himself through his Doge holdings? Like, I'm just trying to figure out exactly how that will work, and maybe if there's a way that you guys as a project or as a community could leverage that and get your name involved at some point, or in some capacity.
So how it's working with the whole Dogecoin to fund the mission is the company that actually it's their idea to do the mission. They are launching this satellite. They're paying with Dogecoin. So they're basically paying SpaceX in Dogecoin for it to launch. And yeah, we've actually reached out to this company already, trying to see if we can get a partnership with them, because we really want to support this mission, and we think we can bring a lot of eyes to this mission, not just from the crypto space, but Windsor's got links outside the crypto space as well, in the music industry, and we think one of their main goals for this mission is to see Dogecoin and crypto in general become a standard accepted form of payment for this kind of thing. So it's definitely something we're looking at. It's something we've already looked into. Haven't had many responses from those guys, but I think as we get bigger and as we go towards the launch, there's going to be more and more opportunities for us to get involved. And there's definitely, during the launch, we'll be doing everything we can to leverage the exposure of it. So we'll be having stuff like YouTube live stream. We'll probably have like a all day party in our voice chat with a live stream going on. And yeah, it's gonna be good fun. In terms of actually funding it ourselves, it's something that we'd love to do if given the opportunity. And yeah, we'll carry on reaching out to the relevant people to see if any opportunities arise for that, because I think that's what our community want to see, and it'd be great for the project.
Yeah, I agree. And you guys have you gone the route as well as looking like maybe some of those news outlets, right? Because as they maybe pick up coverage about this similar, I mean, Elon's definitely driven kind of the more central media coverage of crypto in the past, right? With especially Dogecoin. So like maybe if news outlets pick it up, have you guys thought to go the route of more traditional advertising, right? Because I use Safe Moves as an example, but just how viral that went and how many non-crypto people got onboarded through that project, right? Like you guys are trying to do a similar thing with a narrative driven by, the most followed kind of person in crypto.
Yeah, so there's a lot of articles on the mission already, and yeah, it's always been obvious that this was going to be a huge narrative, because if you go back to Shiba Inu days, before there was even a Shiba Inu coin, the big thing that all these news outlets were already talking about was Shiba Inus and how that's the dog behind Dogecoin. And it's kind of a similar scenario with Doge-1. I think there's already been a lot of media coverage on it. I think Justin Trudeau mentioned it the other day in one of his interviews. Elon has liked to tweet about it recently, so we know we'll be having him. But we've also, and this is something Winslow's been working on, we've got a lot of search engine optimization going on. So I think if you type in Doge-1 into Google, I think we're in the top 3 results on there now. And together with that, a lot of articles are getting put out, and that's going to support that search engine optimization even more. In terms of other normie marketing that we've got going on, so Winslow created the Satellite Doge-1 theme tune a couple of weeks ago, and something that he was doing over the Christmas period was working on the music video that was released a few days ago. And honestly, we've had some great feedback about the video. It's got some really big names that have given their attention to it. Recently, we actually we got involved with the producer of Snoop Dogg, and he's now on our team, and he's got a lot of really amazing connections that I'm not sure I can say them all on this right now, but there's some household names in there that hopefully we're going to be collaborating with Winslow on some music, featuring Satellite Doge-1. We're going to be running contests to make this video that we've already got and this theme song, we want it to go viral. So we're going to be running contests on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the above. And of course, we've got all those articles and the mainstream news outlets already covering the mission, which I think is going to get even bigger as we approach the launch. I wouldn't be surprised to see it on, CNN, on BBC. When this satellite reaches the moon, it's going to be sending images, and companies are actually paying to advertise their logos and brands on this satellite, and it's being sent back down to Earth. So that's something that we want to look into ourselves as well, if it's possible. But yeah, it just goes to show that the amount of mainstream audience that this is going to attract, and we're trying to hit that from all angles with the mainstream marketing, but also the crypto side of things, to leave no stone unturned, really.
Guys have had a lot of people kind of supporting you too. Like I know you mentioned Ian and B Roots. I know like Faltron, and like yeah, there's been a lot of different people who have shouted you out because that's the cool thing with a project like this. We understand there's going to be chart movement up and down, as there's like high and low volume periods on the chain and whatnot, or as the narrative picks up steam, maybe loses steam as other things come up. But the people that have kind of jumped on board, and I know Buck included, right? Like it's the narrative is not really going away. So although there may be some pullbacks on the chart, you guys have always kind of been able to rally those and allow other people to kind of come in. And what I'm noticing from, watching you guys on your socials through the last week is as the chart's gone down a little bit, you've kind of repushed some of your marketing just to give those individuals who maybe didn't connect with the project earlier or whatnot, an opportunity to learn more while things are kind of in that lower kind of consolidation zone, right? So yeah, really, really smart in terms of some of your planning and your strategy to roll these things out. But yeah, the narrative's not going anywhere, and I think that's why a lot of people have jumped on board and supported you. So yeah, I don't know if maybe Justin wanted to go into some of the things that you guys are doing to expand and push, your reach from beyond just a meme and a narrative to get again kind of furthering that advantage or difference you have from other projects that could try and come up around the rocket launch.
Yeah, I would definitely love to do that. The moment, maybe I start at the beginning. The moment Winslow came to me and said he wanted to make a new project and asked me if I can help him with the TG and make a basic setup. I said, okay, let's do it, but why not also bring it some utility, give it some basically point where it can stand up for the users, and where the people not only are there to only invest once, but maybe stay at the project to use the utilities and have some interest in the project overall. At the beginning, we started with the satellite scanner, which is a bot that runs over my custom coded API, the Moon Scanner API, which is an API that takes the raw data from Go Plus basically, but it does not display the raw data as it comes from Go Plus, like you know it from Dex tools and so on. Because I saw a problem, especially being in the Go Plus support group, where communities and projects came to the support from Go Plus and said, "Here there is a tag, modifiable trucks is true, but we are renounced," or "The stop trading is true, but we are renounced," or "There is no hidden owner," and so on. And I have taken a look into those problems a little bit deeper, and in my opinion, it's just a big miscommunication between quick audit tools, which say, okay, here that is the current state of a contract, and the users, which really think it's the current state, but at the end, it's just a screenshot of the contract, a scan of the contract code itself, but not any more checks regarding functionality and if those functions still can be used. So the satellite scanner goes through every function inside the contract and then rechecks, is this function still available? Who can use the function? Is that owner a wallet that can be used like a normal wallet and not a data address? Is there a hidden owner function? And if it's burned already, is there any way to take back the ownership, or maybe through a backdoor still use that function? And if those flags are not met, the function will then be set to false, as it should be, in my opinion, so that the user really has a current state of the contract the moment he scans the contract and is not in a false situation, as he is when he is on Dex tools, Fluos, and so on all those sites that just display the raw data that is returned by all those scanners like Go Plus and Harpy and so on. The second utility that we brought out was more
I didn't want
helping.
to. I didn't want you to get too far because I did want to kind of jump into that one, Justin. So, when you said it kind of pulls the data different than some of the Dex tools or maybe other charting systems that somebody may be using at the current moment. Like, what's the real time, guess, fluctuation, or how quick is it? How accurate is it from like the testing that you guys have done so far? Because that for me is like the big thing. Um, and
I have in
the other thing I would be curious about is like how different exchanges, yeah, just because I know different exchanges pull different listing data, like CMC and Dex tools, for example, may have different data displayed for a project, right? So like I'm just curious how you guys kind of handled the misinformation that may exist from one system to another that's currently a problem.
Yeah, I've initially started the core software behind it, the Moon Scanner, I think in March this year, in close contact with the Go Plus security team. Um, and at the beginning, it was like on Dex tools, just displaying the raw data. But I had people that came to me and said, yeah, that is a problem. It displays that wrong. Why is it displaying that wrong? And at the beginning, I was only able to answer, yeah, that is the data that I get from Go Plus. And I went to Go Plus to the support, to my contacts, and I have said oftentimes, why don't you change that? I mean, raw data is not what the user interest the current state when he checks the contract. How is it now? Can I invest in it? Are there any flags currently active? uh, and where do I need to make my real research? Because at the end, an audit is not saying it's safe or it's not safe. It just points you to the points of a contract where you might need to take a second look. So what the satellite scanner basically does, and the underlying Moon Scanner software, is it pulls the raw data, and then every flag that is being seen, like for example, when you see inside the contract modifiable tags, true, like we see it in most of the contracts at the launch, where you have a tags that then will get lowered over time and the function will get deactivated later on when the tax is already lowered and the contract is renounced. And the moment a flag is true, basically, the function is taken out and the algorithm rechecks the part of the code basically and sees, okay, who can access this function? Then, like for example, when it shows only owner, it then picks up on the only owner and search how is the only owner defined and who is the current owner. Is that only one person, or is that maybe a layered owner system like a hidden owner or something like that? And it goes through all of those checks. And the moment the system then sees something that is basically underlying the true value, that it is modifiable at the current state, it says, okay, it's really true, it's really modifiable. Like for example, it's only owner, but the owner is renounced, but there is a hidden owner that also has access to this function. Maybe it's holds that as true, but the moment it sees, okay, all the flags that I need to go through, all the rechecks are safe, it then changes the value from true to false. One of the best examples for that is our contract, the satellite Doge-1 contract. If you search for that on DEX tools, you will see a couple flags that are true. I have also sent that. Maybe I can pull that up and share that. So skin 1. All right. That
Oh,
is
got
maybe
it.
the best
Looks good.
example. Here we have the scan screenshot from our audit that is basically made on DEX tools, where we see quick intel, token sniffer, Go Plus, and Harpy all saying tax modifiable true. But if we really take a look into the part of the contract, of the satellite Doge contract, you see that the update buy fees and update sell fees are both functions that are only called by the owner itself. And the owner in its current state is the dead address, meaning this function is not accessible anymore, which then means when we look into the scan, how the satellite scanner makes that, it sees the regain ownership is no, so the ownership can't be regained. There is no hidden owner. The modifiable tax is in this case then false because the owner address is a renounced contract, is a burned contract. The same counts for individual trucks. The same counts for anti-well modifiable, where it is here, anti-well modifiable. That is basically reshaping the data as it comes from Go Plus and not only says, okay, it's from Go Plus, it needs to be right, but it reshakes the assumptions that Go Plus makes and then says, okay, is that really true? Is that really right how Go Plus says it? Or is it maybe false and I need to adapt the result? And the time that this basically takes to make the scan and make the reshakes, it's minimal. I mean, if we take a look into the scanner, I need to find it. Here we have it. And we search for the scan without defining a chain. It supports 20 different chains. We see it's pulling up in a matter of seconds the different parts of the audit. And we can also in live see the owner address is renounced, the regain ownership is false, there is no hidden owner, where we have it. No hidden owner is, I need to refactor this text. There is no hidden owner, and we see the individual tax modifiable is false, the same for the modifiable tax.
That's really solid. Looks like it covers a lot of detail there. And following the screen share there as you went through, and yeah, quick display of the different tabs.
Mm.
No, that's nice to see. Now, obviously that space right now is competitive, right? With these different utilities and these different tools. So what's the plan to kind of launch your utility side of the project? Because honestly looks really solid and definitely would have a value in different groups that are running a large number of CAs and even for your community members, right? To be able to check on other projects that they're maybe looking to jump in through across different chains. So yeah, like just really solid so far. What's the timelines like now on your end to get this out to the public and to the community to use?
The satellite scanner is already out since quite a while, and in my opinion, investment security should be free for the users. So the satellite scanner is free to use for everybody. That can be added in any launch and group or just use in per DM. Just keep in mind it has a /scan comment and it does not listen for every contract that has just been sent inside the chat. I've made that extra so because at the end API limits the requests that you can do, so you get rate limited if you really listen to every message or you just batch the request basically. But when you batch the request, then there is a delay between the request and the result. Most of the time delay is not really that big, but if there are really many requests, the delay can go higher and higher, and I just don't want it. I want that the user has a quick and easy way to interact with it. The satellite AI is also free. and it's also already available for the user base. Both bots will be connected in the next coming weeks, meaning that the satellite AI has access to the resources of the satellite scanner, allowing the user to interact with all the tool in a human way, in a human readable way. Like, for example, you ask what is the tax from this contract, and it just goes through the audit result and then gives you that result in a text way. For example, this contract has this and this tax. Do you want to learn more? And the tweet manager, which is an internal tool for our radars and so on, is also already live, and more utilities will come most likely in the next coming 3 weeks. We just released the satellite Whales portal, which is a one of its kind Whales portal, which automates the authentication of a user for a Whales group, where the user just burns tokens and verifies with it his holding and his wallet, and the Whales portal is then automatically rechecking the holdings of every user of every whale. And when one of the whales gets under the threshold, it gets automatically kicked out of the group. It was made because there was the whales portal from Crimson, but it just, you have wallet connect, so you have a security risk at the first place, and in the second place you authenticate, but afterwards you can just dump your tokens, and the bot doesn't do anything regarding it because it does not monitor the wallets ongoing. That are the utilities that are currently live at the current point of time. But as said, more utilities will come most probably in the next coming 2 to 3 weeks.
So a couple of questions. What type of usage have you seen then so far on the scanner and the AI tool side of things? How many lounges or groups has it been implemented in? I know you'd mentioned kind of you don't want to have it so the delay is too long, but obviously scaling the utility and user base is important. So yeah, what type of numbers are we looking at so far?
The exact numbers I actually don't really know. I'm not following that. That's something that Winslow makes with the partnerships and so on. I'm most likely, most of the time, just sitting in VS Code and writing code, to be honest. But all of the utilities that I deploy have its own custom load balancing system, which interacts per user and per chat, which means that there will not be that chat A slows down the usage in chat B. Every resource per chat is basically controlled per chat. So there shouldn't be any longer loading times for any of the utilities initially, more than 2 or 3 seconds. Even the AI has a custom load balancing system, because it's not like the normal most of the AI bots where you make your prompt and you wait then until the whole prompt is generated and it then answers. It's a real-time generation of the answer, where it basically sends chunks of the message, and the size of the chunk is then individually on the go calculated. As you see, the chunks go longer and longer, and as it goes, as the text goes slower, because there are more requests for this particular chat. But if I make the same request now for my other chat, maybe we can do that as we are live. Let me pull this up on the secondary screen. We go maybe inside here, inside the AI, pull it on the left, and that on the right, and it on the left. And let's make the request on both bots, both sides. We'll see that when it's already throttling down here, because there are many requests in the chat, it's still the chunk size in the other pack is still lower than on the left side, because it loads that per chat basically. So as it's lowering down the speed for one user, user B has still the full speed advantage as it goes, and that is on every of the utilities and all of the bots.
Awesome. I
Basically,
mean, it's a really cool kind of like all-in-one on almost like automated trading buddy. It reminds me of, I mean, I'm gonna date myself a little bit because I'm in my 30s, but it reminds me of that Windows paperclip that you used to pull up and kind of interact with while you were on your computer back in the day, but more so geared towards
That's
crypto. So
that's a
yeah,
fun that's a funny
it's cool.
thing. The core of the AI will be at the end a completely automated system which will pull up its resources from different sites and different APIs and so on, which will automatically scale to what the user needs. And tools like paperclip, as it jumps over your display and so on, where actually the idea behind it, or where the idea came from, to just give the user something where he has all the informations and can get all the help he needs, but directly in TG without the need of any outside resources, any outside program that he needs to install, or any web application where there might be security risk because of the browser itself.
Was really enjoying kind of the breakdown. And again, myself, I've kind of followed the project more so on like the narrative and the community aspect, but really kind of deep diving into some of these utilities. Like it does seem like that on its own, quite impressive and definitely, helps sustain, I think, and gives more value to people and allows you to push it into different types of communities that are looking at satellite Doge, because not everyone's into, narrative plays. Some people prefer utility type plays. And again, what I've heard, although, it's still in the earlier stages, there's still more developments and additions coming in. It is kind of like that all-in-one trading, like buddy, like that you're going to be able to pull up different information. And again, like it's going to allow, I think, those normies that you guys may onboard through like the meme or the narrative side to get up to speed or on par with maybe people who have been doing the DeFi stuff for maybe a year or two and are much more versed in the trading aspect. So yeah, like I think that's a good combination of the types of kind of users that your overall narrative can attract, and then giving them value to maybe grow their skill set quicker. Because I've always said, if you can give people education, it's that ability in crypto to connect with somebody emotionally, and they're going to remember people who helped them out when maybe they weren't as well equipped. So yeah, it's yeah, really really smart connection between your two sides of the project.
yeah, I think people should have our meme and narrative in the front of their mind when they think of our project, but it's still you can't ignore the utilities we've got as well. And I think that whilst it runs alongside the meme can uh, take us really high, but then those utilities will always have to fall back on in the quieter periods if we've got revenue being generated from those, which we hope to start seeing some figures for that soon. It's going to give people that peace of mind that we're here for the long run as well, and we can be sustainable long term, not just fueled by hype, which we know we'll get a lot of soon. But yeah, having those two dimensions is important for a lot of investors, I feel.
Mentioned revenue. Now, what types of, I guess, benefits can holders see through these utilities? Like if your example, I know Justin mentioned he doesn't want to token gate this, and he does believe in the sense that, these tools should be available for everyone because they're going to be a good way potentially to pull people into the community, into the project, and hear about, your name if it's outside of the narrative. But for example, if you are holding the actual Doge-1 token, what types of benefits do the utilities provide in that sense?
Well, I think for the main part, just user experience is improved by a lot of these utilities. So, first and foremost, people are going to be able to go in our TG and use our utilities to find out about the contracts, find out information about the project. They're going to be able to use that well utility to get access to our group there. And in terms of if there's any monetary benefit, I think they'll see all the benefit from our utilities in our charts when it's you know, any revenue that we get from those, that's going to be put together with our 1% tax, and that's going to be used to you know, pump the chart as best we can. That's being spent on marketing, it's being spent on buybacks, it will be spent on listings, that if there's listings we really want to have. For instance, there was a Bikeonomy listing that they just listed us yesterday. Not something that we spent money on, but it's good to see that these exchanges have got us in mind, and they're actually doing what it takes to list us for free. So a lot of these utilities, yes, we hope they'll be bringing in revenue soon, but we think that revenue will have a larger effect overall if it's going back into our charts, rather than if we set up a revenue share scheme or some kind of staking rewards. You know, we don't want to have those liabilities to holders. We want to keep costs low, and we want to use that money to send our price as high as possible. So not ruling anything out in the future, but I think if our community stays on the same page about that and understands what just what we're trying to achieve with our what the end goal is for these utilities, it's not so much to provide stable passive income for people, but we think it's to help us get to the highest levels as possible, and hold those levels hopefully as well.
Maybe I can tell also a little bit about it. Yes, the initial functionality sets and everything related to investment security, like the satellite scanner itself, will be free, but there will be different layers of utilities that will be available for the user, which will be free and paid to use. And from those paid to use aspects, first of all, we will put the 60% directly back to the project, and then decide if you want to bring buybacks or pay something to the community or use it for marketing. It's controlled by the situation, then how it's been needed and how it's used. There's also the second income aspect, that there might be other projects that might be interested in having utilities like our project has, but branded for their project. Like maybe, for example, they want an AI bot with an custom the custom training data set, and that's also branded for their system, for their project. They can order such a AI by us, and I will provide it basically to them, like in Scanner AI or Wales Portal or anything that will come. And from the payment that the project basically does, it's the same. 60% percentage will go to the project, and also those project utilities will be branded, so it will also passively bring people to our project basically, and bring new investors. And the satellite Wales portal, we have at the beginning thought about if we want to, when the user verifies its whale state, basically if we want to let the user send it to the marketing wallet, or if you want to burn it. But I have decided at the end to let the users burn, because we have other ways to get income for the projects, like the tags and selling of utilities and so on. So in my opinion, just having something for the smaller holders, that the whales, every time someone verifies himself, burns some token for the smaller holders, in my opinion, um, is a nicer thing to do, and in a psychological way and in a project longevity way, a better thing to do than just having the money in the marketing wallet, basically.
And that does make sense in terms of like the distribution that you're going for there. Now, an idea, I don't know if this is something you guys have already talked about or thought about as a group, but just considering the utilities nature and the ability to potentially, pick up on new live pairs, new contracts that are released, and do you plan to build out like a satellite Doge, almost like moon fund, where you're able to invest small amounts into projects that the satellite scanner picks up. And then you can have like preset rules on, at this level, we take our initial plus 10%. At this level, we take, 20%. That's been an effective way for projects. And I'll just use Optimus as an example because like they caught in PAL AI early and that went up to like over 200 million, right? So like that, I don't remember the amount of money but put into their fund, but like a couple $100,000. So like with your utilities focused around trading support, have you guys looked at a fund that's more managed by the team?
That is actually a good idea, but until now it didn't came up as an idea and we haven't thought about it. But it's
Well,
definitely something that is worth to think about.
I think we discussed it briefly before, a sort of Doge-1 DAO or something to that effect, where we could have these investments in other projects because we do have an umbrella of projects that we're working with, probably around, I want to say 10 partnered projects, and some of those at a small market cap as well. Yeah, it's something that is always been in my consideration. I think we've discussed it briefly as a team, but the general consensus right now is that we really want to focus on what we're currently building up until the launch. We want to focus on getting that right, and if we've got time to do these other things, then it's definitely things we'll look at doing. But yeah, right now what we've got in hand, we know that if we were to do some sort of fund or a DAO, that's not an overnight job. It would be a lot to take on. And whilst that does excite us, we yeah, we want to focus on the mission at hand, and hopefully that's something we can explore as we grow even more.
I can respect that. Personally, I would say if you guys did decide to go that route at some point in the future, I would go away from the DAO. I'm not a fan of DAO terminology personally. It's too many, it's like a little bit of PTSD comes in there when you hear DAO on a project sometimes. I personally, something like Satellite Doge Moon Fund or something like that, Mars Fund, like whatever, it could be something of that respect versus a DAO just from a perception standpoint as people look at it. But yeah, no, I respect how you guys are kind of just focusing right now on the narrative and the fact that utilities are out there are good. Now, marketing the project or satellite Doge is one thing. Marketing the utilities behind it and the value they provide to not only your project but the communities that maybe adopt them, that's another thing. So how do you guys like split that initiative like within the team to handle marketing the actual brand and the narrative versus marketing those utilities, which can ultimately generate you some revenue for the project longer term?
It's something that we found difficult to divide up so far because obviously our focus is on the narrative and the meme, and that's kind of what we're shilling to people. And then the utilities have kind of been a added bonus to what we've been saying about ourselves. I would say a lot of the partnerships and a lot of the people that are using our utilities so far and the projects that are using them, they're projects that are already close to the project. They're partnered with us perhaps, or it's done through word of mouth like this. Like I might know a good project that could use our communities, or Winslow might, and we've sort of been making those connections on a personal basis to get them in those lounge. So well, I'll just put it out there on here. If anyone runs a project or knows a good project that might think you might benefit from some of these utilities, or maybe even Caesar's Lounge itself might like to have our scanner or our AI bot in, feel free to reach out to myself or Justin or Winslow. We can definitely help you bring those utilities. As we said, the scanner and the AI, that's free to put in your group at the moment, and it doesn't even have ads on so far. So very early getting these products. If anyone would like them, just let us know.
I'll chat with Caesar, but maybe getting it set up in the private room. Always nice to be able to test out different utilities from projects that we've had come by for AMAs and worked with. So, yeah, can definitely chat with him after the call's done and see what the process would look like there would be, definitely. I personally like it because yeah, it's get people in, and like that group's running through a bit. Obviously, we don't allow CAs or anything to get dropped on the main channel. If it does and we see it, I'm always in there trying to delete it. But in that group, there's lots of conversations. So yeah, could be a really good fit. We'll chat more. And again, I know I'm gonna work with Justin because I do like some of the demos he showcased here on the AMA to put together some short form content and maybe some more so demonstrations or walkthroughs on how to use the tools, like the bots themselves, because everybody's, I guess, skill level or not. Even me, I'm not great at some of these bots. So yeah, we'll work on that. But getting back to the actual narrative and the project here, you guys have different partnerships that you've already locked into with various communities around the space. I want to talk about some of those and like what you guys look for and what you're going to continue to look for while partnering with different projects and individuals in the DeFi space.
Well, so far, I would say the type of projects we've been partnering with are projects that, first of all, if there's a community member that is running a project and we know them really well, and we know enough that we spoke to them on a face-to-face basis, we're a lot more likely to be open to partnerships with these kind of people because we want projects that we can trust, and we're always looking for projects with huge narratives as well, that we think can do really well. So yeah, that's probably our main criteria. I think the best example of that is probably Crypto Hero, who actually runs a couple of other projects that we've partnered with, and Southern is kind of ambassador towards Catboy, which is another project we've partnered with. And these are two projects that they kind of tick all of our boxes. Having huge narratives, with teams that people can trust, and still at levels where the gains that people get if they can get into them, being in this meme coin space in such low market caps, if you find projects that have those great narratives and are trustworthy, then the potential is there for everyone to see. It's that's kind of what we're looking for, because we want all of our holders to make money across the space, not just in satellite Doge-1, and that's kind of what we're trying to bring to people, communities that they can trust and can work together. So I don't know if Southern or Hero had anything to add onto that with the kind of partnerships that we're trying to build.
Yeah, it's actually quite impressive to me. The umbrella, as Southern had put it. A few months ago, I got involved with Winslow, the dev here at Doge-1, and we brought him in onto one of my community tokens, a Pepe official, which is a Pepe token community takeover as well. We got him involved and on the team, and ended up being a part of another token as well called Half Bitcoin. And of course, we started doing some of the grab the mic AMA setups that he holds a couple times a week now. It's basically where you get 6 to 8 different communities getting together on Winslow's channel, and we all get 10-15 minutes up on the mic, talk about our tokens, our why are we bullish, and everything about our communities and so forth. But in a lot of cases, we end up joining all these other communities, and we turn off the recording after the AMAs are over, and we all chit chat and kind of get to know each other a little bit more. And the whole sentiment behind it is that community is everything, and it's all about building communities that can work together and kind of put a better face and a name to the entire crypto space. Because everything that happened in the last two years or so with the bear market, and just how dried up all the liquidity got, and all the scams, just there's always been scams, but it just seems like it just ran rampant. So we're all trying to align with that same vision of Winslow, and that's to join communities and to share our good people, our good ideas, our good energies, to be able to help each other out, and kind of create some good relationships that we can all connect to, and kind of help each other out when if we're having a slow day in our chat, maybe we jump into these other communities and help them out, or if we have ideas or needs for adding utility to one project or another. It's all about being able to network and to tie closer bonds to everybody and all these other projects that we're working with, like Catboy and man, Cat Doge, and there's so many, Alien Form, and there's been a lot the last couple months where we have these AMAs every week or twice a week, and it's all to show support in these communities. And Winslow's got a master plan. He's got a great vision here to really kind of network and bond everybody together. So I'm a part of a lot of community takeovers. I'm on the team for a handful of them, and this is the kind of energy that makes these communities grow and to thrive through the bumpy roads of crypto, because the chart's going to go up and down, but your community is going to be the one that sends it, the one that it's going to be the main factor in sending it to these all-time highs and these crazy market caps. It all comes down to the community. So we all are really appreciative of Winslow and his Doge-1 community, and they've all come into these other tokens and become holders and investors and helped out with rating. It's been just an awesome network of community help. So we're really happy and proud to be a part of this kind of a network. When everywhere else you look out there, it's a dog eat dog world, and I'm going to do better than you, and our token's way better, we're going to flip you. It's like, that's not quite the attitude I like to go after. It's how can we all help it? We're all going to make it here, right? That's the whole point. We can, teamwork makes the dream work. So proud to be here and really appreciative to Winslow about that.
Just because of like his connections and stuff, you guys have a pretty, like I mentioned it earlier in the AMA, it's a pretty easy concept and brand and narrative to connect to somebody who maybe doesn't understand as much as about the blockchain as you or I may. So what are you guys doing in the form of swag, t-shirts, like that type of thing, like that, just that, what's that, like those conversation starters, I like to call them, that because of how this ties in a little bit better to normal people and something that'll be covered on Twitter and has an ability maybe to connect with them. I think this route versus like if you're just some very crypto specific topic and then you try and make t-shirts, I don't think that's ever going to translate for a meme coin. But with something like this, with your narrative and how it connects, it may. So yeah, really wanted to see what you guys are doing to bring the brand to life, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, interesting question. And I do think this is one of those narratives and meme plays that would be really successful if we made merchandise and all sorts of other branded goods. It's something that we should look into more, to be honest. We've made t-shirts before, and we've had some videos being made with people wearing these t-shirts, and as part of our marketing strategy, I think that's been really good, and maybe we should do more of that. In terms of what else we're doing for normies to get them involved, obviously we've got this a lot of mainstream media marketing, so we've got like rappers promoting us and stuff like that, so bringing the project to new eyes, and for those people to buy who might not necessarily be very experienced with crypto and Uniswap, it's a bit of a process, right? So we've actually got flues involved where people can buy using their credit cards. So I think that's going to make it a lot easier to onboard normies and people that aren't too comfortable with crypto. But yeah, definitely something that we're considering, and something that would be good to ramp up more as we approach launches, to get more merchandise made, more of that put out. And maybe that you could see that being one of our next steps as we ramp up this marketing, getting closer to launch, for sure.
I wouldn't suggest it because, again, I've seen lots of projects go that route. Typically, I feel it's a waste of money. It doesn't really have much of a return. But yeah, the narrative here, it fits, right? And like that's why I said I like learning more about the utilities and their kind of use case potential. because it meshes well with like the overall narrative and your ability to bring people in outside of the typical scope. So yeah, no, for me, it's, you know, the dots kind of connect well, if you will, in how it's set up. And like I said, narrative plays where, you know, hype can really go off or can kind of die down in terms of the conversation around the narrative. You know, that may be met with volatility. So I think, you know, for me, that's why I say I never watch a chart, but really learning more about the utilities and how they kind of fit into the brand and what you're trying to do with the narrative. You know, it does connect well. And I'm really happy that we were able to deep dive it a little bit more because yeah, like from my side, I've always kind of just followed along from the narrative. Always thought you guys did a great job of building the community. I've watched, you know, the chart and the holder count grow, and you know, it's been really solid. But now deep diving into a little bit more behind, like peeling back some of those layers and seeing the utilities, and yeah, really quick turnaround. You know, it seems like, you know, Justin's putting out some solid work over there and really passionate about the coding side of things. So hey, you got some good kind of sauce right now laid out, and it's just it'd be interesting to see what happens as, you know, February approaches. And you know, if that mission's a huge success, well, you never know what can go from there, right?
Yeah, exactly. It does seem to me like a combination of all these factors, you know, coming together to make something quite special. Obviously, you've got the narrative, but the community with that safety of the team and all these utilities on top. It gives me confidence every day that, you know, working on something that is, you know, going to pay off and pay dividends. And, you know, people can look at the chart and, you know, I've seen it before when there's been a few quieter periods, and you know, we've had crazy pumps, but we've had, you know, that cool off sometimes. And you know, I'd say, you know, when you've got something like this that we've got with this narrative, and you've got all these catalysts in front of us, looking at the chart, it just creates emotions that get in the way of sound decision making. And we've seen it. You know, we were at 1 million 2 weeks ago, down from an all-time high of 4.5. It was, you know, the community is still grinding, but you know, chart was looking a bit red, volume down a bit, and then all of a sudden we had huge catalyst from one of our best supporters, B Roots and Ian. They got us on Crypto Banter podcast and shot up to a new all-time high of 15 million within 24 hours. So it goes to show that, you know, all we know is that this is big, but we don't quite know when it's going to happen. When these catalysts come in, but we know there's a high probability of it. So yeah, I'm just trying to focus on building this, making it better, and not really looking at the chart, because we know it can be quiet 1 minute and then boom, next minute it's a new all-time high all over again, and we're pushing to new levels. So yeah, I encourage everyone to take profits if they make money on the way up, but with these kind of narratives, it's always not financial advice, but I think it's always a good idea to make sure you have some exposure, just in case it does hit those crazy levels. Like you say, we've got no idea what's going to happen if this rocket launch is successful. It could lead to much bigger things surrounding this narrative. So yeah, appreciate that.
You guys have had some, I mean, kind of every, you know, if you go back, and I'm not a chart guy either, so I kind of hate doing this, but if you go back, you know, you guys have, you launched, you sat fairly static for the first, you know, month or a while, and then mid-November pumped up, and then you came back down, and you pumped up to like 2, 3 times the level you hit before. Then you came back down, and then you guys have kind of seen that trend, right? And like you mentioned, it's something that's expected. So yeah, you've really, I appreciate you guys all kind of coming by and allowing anybody who, even like myself, has kind of more so followed the narrative, the community growth through your socials, and obviously watched the growth of the chart and the holder count, but not so much maybe peeled back the layers and understood some of the catalysts and things outside of, you know, Elon tweeting about it, or, you know, some of these big spaces you've been on, right? So like the utilities sound really impressive. you know, I know Justin and I can have some fun in the future when we put together some of that short form content, and you know, it just meshes well with the narrative to pull in, you know, non-traditional crypto, you know, folks with, you know, the Elon side, the Rocket, Dogecoin, just a few of those things meshed together. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in your community I know is excited for what's to come in 2024, especially February. But I mean, even me now getting the chance to host you guys, really understand a little bit you know, better the layers behind the project and how you guys were able to sustain outside of the initial kind of competition that arose around your launch. And then I know there's been a few, you know, overhyped, under-delivered pre-sales since that have kind of tried to take on this narrative as you guys went through some of your big movements. So yeah, great job. I mean, impressed definitely on my end with the narrative and the ability to sustain it and just add a little bit more depth to the narrative with your utilities. And yeah, 2024, man. It should be a good year. So from my end, you know, if we missed anything, obviously, guys, you know, it's not wrapping up the AMA, but if we missed anything, let me know. Otherwise, I do want to always save time for a couple of audience questions at the end. You know, I had two sent to me via DMs that were really solid, and I want to kind of work those in at the back end. But this is your time. If you know we missed anything, you could jump in, let us know prior to the audience questions.
Sure. I think no, I think we've covered pretty much everything about the copycats. We've had a lot of copycat tokens and a lot of scams launched after us trying to copy our name. I think that's bullish. It shows how big the narrative is. But you know, we were the first one with the original community on ETH, and we were the first on the relaunch as well. So you know that we had to work hard to establish ourselves as the number one token following this narrative. But since then, it's become clear that we're in pole position. And yeah, like you say, it's going to be a very exciting year. We've got an awful lot coming up, even things that I couldn't mention today because of the scale of what's happening. I'd be so excited to talk more about that, but I just can't. So yeah, thanks so much, and I'd be happy to do my best to answer any questions your community's got for us.
So like the Max Verstappen right now, the Doge-1 launch. So yeah, you guys are looking good on that. Now the first question here is from Karen. This is just on the Twitter specifically, considering, you know, what we've seen happen, unfortunately, to projects with some of their handles or accounts being taken down or flagged. How do you guys hope to sustain your account long term if Elon does engage with you guys with the tweet kind of listed as your background? She just wants to make sure that the community stays safe, and she says she's been following the project for some time now. So
I think that's a question about just you know how to make sure our account doesn't get suspended or anything. We've seen it happen to projects in the past, and we're doing our best not to cross any red lines that might be set that could give us any reason for someone to report us. So we're making it clear that we're not affiliated with the official rocket launch until further announcement. And you know, we're doing everything to you know show our support for the project, but also distance ourselves from anything official related to it. I think that's most what we can really do for now in terms of keeping our Twitter safe. Of course, there's haters that report us anyway, but so far none of them got through, presumably because we haven't actually given them any good reason to report us. We do have a backup Twitter account just in case the worst would happen, and we'd be ready to update the Everscan and all the socials to incorporate that ASAP if that did happen. So yeah, we've got the backup there, but we're doing as much as we can to make sure it's not needed, and hopefully that won't be necessary.
I agree. Yeah, we've seen a lot of projects be able to walk that line and not have any issues. And you know, if you guys are really managing the community like you have been throughout this entire project, you know, that I've seen so far going forward, I wouldn't expect there to be, you know, any issues either. So yeah, keep it up. Now contests. You guys have done those in the past. I know those are something that kind of go ongoing, so we won't get into anything unless you guys have anything big or any contests that are dropping early new year that you really wanted to announce. I know that's something you guys have kind of done ongoing in the community. So
Yeah, that's ongoing. We've got new contests coming all the time. I think the next contest is going to be a viral video contest. We want to blow up on TikTok and Insta and YouTube. We see that as a window to a lot of normies and other investors outside crypto. So, yeah, we want to go viral that way. And that's what our next contest is going to be about. But we're always trying to think of new ways to involve our community and give back to them with contests and get our name out there even more.
well, again, I was just chatting to Buck. I just mentioned to him, I think from our end, most of the questions been covered. I just asked him again if there was anything that he thought or he wanted to ask you guys. Again, he's been working with you for a couple of months now, and happy to see that, you know, he's gotten you some different spaces. And again, I think he's really bullish on the narrative too. So anything from you, Buck, you wanted to add, or any questions you kind of caught in your DMs that you think were worth throwing in, you can jump on. But from me, love the narrative. Happy to know more about the utilities because, like I said, it's kind of like that cool paperclip, assistant that you used to see on the old Microsoft systems back in the day. And yeah, it could definitely help with the mix of normies and non-traditional crypto people you could bring in through like the bigger narrative of the rocket launch. So yeah, Buck, I'll throw to you.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, guys, great job on the presentation as always. You guys know I've been following this one for a long time. I'm a long time holder. I still haven't sold anything since we first were chatting. I think around like a 400K market cap when Winslow first shared this with me, and just been really impressed with everything that you guys have done. And great community feedback here every time we have you guys on the mic. You guys are hitting the right stops. Tackling the right tweets on social media or on Twitter, on X there. And yeah, just the community you built up in that holder count is just extremely impressive in the short time that you guys have been alive. So, with that rocket launch coming up, I'm just extremely bullish on it. You'll be seeing me in the community as well, hanging out, and you guys have a direct link to me if you ever need anything from my end. But just, yeah, really happy you were able to bring this one onto the Caesars community today.
Can't thank you enough, Buck, for everything you've done for us, all the support you've brought, and getting us our foot in the door for this AMA tonight. I think it's been really great AMA. Thank you, Maurice, for hosting and having us on, and all the questions, everyone listening as well. Respect to you guys. Really appreciate coming on here with you.
I know you guys really, again, impressed me. Loved the first kind of interaction we had with my guys there, Kid and Walt, on their space. And, it's been impressive to follow the growth, the holder count and everything, since. And, the narrative itself, you can't deny it. It's got potential, and it's one of those things that you never know when it might pop, when things might go crazy. The charts had a few crazy kind of days, couple day periods there, and as it's retraced, it's always in the past recovered. So again, not financial advice, as we never do, but it's one of those things that a lot of people have eyes on this one. A lot of people have eyes on the narrative and like what you're doing, and it's going to be a fun transition to 2024. And I know just from watching the community, everybody there is super pumped to see what happens. So, watch the community, watch what these guys are doing. And this will definitely not be the last time you hear about Satellite Doge. So thanks again, guys, coming by. We will chat in DMs about setting up those short form videos with Justin. And anything else you guys need, obviously, my DMs are always open. Or if I'm slow, just get Buck to kick me in the ass and I'll get moving. So, yeah, we're good.
Awesome. Appreciate you all so much. Yeah, really exciting year coming up. I can't wait to see it all unfold and hopefully see as many of you as possible joining us in our TG for the rocket journey with us. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks again, guys, for coming by.